are back on another episode of Sports Gambling with Moneyline Monaco. Alex Monaco joining you fresh off a jet up W. Let's go. Let's go. I mean, of all the wins on the program this season, of all the conviction, and the camera's a little off here, but the cross out behind me, folks, if you're watching, not listening, not watching, plus 590. Now down for the New York Jets to make the playoffs at plus 390. Furthermore, plus 10,000 to win it all. From 85 to 1 down to 75 to 1 in one sleep. And 60 to 1 to win the conference is long gone, if I'm not mistaken. Right around 46. I'll double check. It's a moving market. So the New York Jets win arguably their first complete football game. Well, it is in over a month, but really, since we've seen this team in September, as we say, welcome to November 1st on the show. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. Aaron Rodgers was surgical, 3 tugs, no mistakes. Vintage Rodgers, 22 of 32. And they ran the ball enough. And I would say, look, 15 for 74 for Brees on 4.9 per is certainly efficient for this team and what they've done so far on a sample size. But you got Garrett Wilson with the catch of the year. You can make a case turning the whole team around. And it was really, because again, this team was halftime down. The third quarter where they won the third quarter, but the catch, it just takes one play. And you would say that coming off the World Series, Yankees, Dodgers, particularly in favor of LA and not New York in this case, to turn things around. And it can happen for a guy like Aaron Judge, just as much as it can happen for a guy like Aaron Rodgers. And you can make a case, and I said this on the program yesterday, that this was the lowest moment. This was rock bottom for the New York Jets. I just want to wrap this up before we get into NFL Week 9 picks. They could have possibly had, coming off a Patriots loss, the Patriots had won one game at Gillette in 2 years, year and a half, year and change. I mean, to lose that game, and statistically an anomaly as well, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they did, again, everything right. And then you start to watch at the beginning of this game, and Corley drops the ball like Deshaun Throwback Jackson, and you're like, unbelievable. They're literally giving touchdowns away. And then Conklin, and thank God they reversed it, right after Corley dropped the ball and gave the Jets no points, and they should have had 7, almost gifted 7 to the Texans on a catch and a fumble. A 14-point swing before we nestled into our seats. Thank goodness what I was trying to explain finally happened. A team with a ton of talent that didn't really have direction hit rock bottom. They bonded together. You want to call it Hassan Reddick clocking in? You want to call it perfect Thursday night timing? 6-2 versus 2-6. You had a reverse line movement. You had the public on Houston. You had everything that you would think, including the unbelievable murdered out Jets uniforms, working in favor of a Jets W. And then you started to watch what you watch. But to wrap it up, this Jets team, who again is a top 10 defense, and you have to remind yourself, players in all 3 phases on this team, I mean, not a lot of defenses, have Williams in the front with Mosley to complement, with DJ and Sauce at the back end. I mean, we're talking about 4 make all pro dudes on one defense with Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, who's not that far away from a back-to-back MVP, had 9 interceptions in 2 years of work. He's not used to turning the ball over like he has in a Jets uniform. And only reps with DA and G-Dub are going to get more and more stronger and tighter with routes and timing. These two, you can make a case, Devontae and Garrett are the best 1-2 in the game on any given Pacino Sunday with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, with a real run game and a real defense. So without getting ahead of ourselves and to put a bow on it, you got the Cardinals and the Colts, two cupcakes. You can make a case, two bottom 10 defenses as far as yards given up and just overall lack of production are on the horizon in the next 2 weeks. And if we rattle off some W's here in New York, this value on the betting board is going to start to diminish. And again, you can cash out ROIs on properly purchased bets. I've already done it. I took the Jets at plus 590 before the Texans W, just like we also took Texans. And you're getting a cash out more than what you put down already off one win. And that's how it happens. Just like the bettor that has the gorgeous ticket, I think it's like $50, $55 to win $1 million. He has I think $1,000 up cash out off of last night's win alone. And those are just going to stack up way bigger for a bigger ticket, but you can do it for yourself, depending where you shop. All right, let's get it into NFL Week 9. Your boy does not typically come in on a lot of underdogs, and I'm on several underdogs here on an all-caffeine Friday where I've been humming and going all day. The contacts are starting to dry out. All right, we have some themed bets we did on the Better Half Hour. Make sure to check that out, MSG Networks, where I do a half-hour betting show weekly, among other things. And on the show, we theme some bets, so I'm going to throw those out here just because it's fun, and we'll keep a little continuity going, passing it back and forth, drummed up some themes here. So the hate to do it, but have to do it bet that I have to, and now it's 9.5. Speaking of line movement, reverse line movement, rather, the Denver Broncos and Vance Joseph's defense, head coached by Sean Payton, are getting 9.5 points in Baltimore. And I just hope that we are not in a sucker bet, because all I can sit here and couple up is that the Ravens in a spot of 7 or more points has not only not covered, not won. They lost to the Raiders, 9.5 point favorites at home. Same exact number, same exact spot, except we have a top 3 defense in Denver this time, not the dysfunctional good luck, bad luck Raiders. And you also have to factor in that, just statistically speaking, on a spot like this, where teams between 7 and 9.5 in particular are 3-12-1 against the spread this year, that's a real betting trend. And typically, and the Ravens own the Broncos. They do head to head. But typically, when you have a top 5, top 3 defense, and you're getting a number that's big, like this case, you either feel comfortable backing the number or you think the under. But you look at the worst pass D in the NFL, and it's the Baltimore Ravens, and they lose this game to Jameis Winston. He had 3 touchdowns over 300 yards. I mean, Deshaun Watson didn't have a 300-yard performance all season. Jameis Winston came in and lit it up. Obviously, did he have the Kurt Rambis goggles on or not? I'm not sure. He's got the contacts. I got terrible eyes. I'm always restructuring my eyeballs due to glasses, contacts, etc. I digress. The point is, Jameis Winston showed up and showed out against the Ravens defense that is really getting covered up for an MVP-type season for Lamar and an MVP-type season for his co-pilot, Derrick King Henry. This is the worst statistical pass defense in the NFL. We are fading this week. And if you've been with me all season, I've nailed the Ravens, bobbing and weaving at Kearney Mesa Bowl off the bowling bumpers. If you're from San Diego and you listen, you got to love that joke. Kearney Mesa Bowl no longer. Post-COVID life, very sad. But the Ravens are 0-3 in the spot where they're getting 7 or more. And the Denver Broncos have covered 5 of their last 6 games. 5 of their last 6 games. They are the 3rd best defense, statistically speaking. They're the 4th best pass defense. So this Denver team, again, I don't really fully understand how this team, with not the most talented roster on both sides, has really pulled a rabbit out of a hat and leads, ironically, of all teams, the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card category right now. I mean, type in NFL standings. We forget the Pittsburgh Steelers are leading the dance. But right now, the Denver Broncos lead on the board the Baltimore Ravens, despite both the 5-3 record. Either way, Baltimore wins this game. Do they cover? Their awful loss first half, historically under Harbaugh, very good spots to back. So this game pretty much comes down to, can Denver hold court in the first half? Further diving into their defense, they allow a league best 9 yards per completion. So this is not only a coached up Vance D that bends but doesn't break. They don't really give up the big play too often. I mean, I'm looking at it. This is a BetMGM stat, 1578 yards on 175 completions. Mathematically comes out to the best in the NFL. So this team is just good in coverage. They're good in personnel with coaching up to their personality, and they're pretty buttoned up. I mean, again, this is a team that some of their wins are head scratching, like at the Pirate Ship in Tampa. They smoked Baker and the boys 26-7, which factors into the thinking here. But also, you got a team that's just, I mean, Denver Broncos football, let's type it in here, is already playing above the rim as far as preseason numbers. And they dropped their first 2 games. I mean, this team's lost 1 football game since mid-September. I'm talking to you in November. I mean, this team lost to Seattle and Pittsburgh out the gate. I mean, this defense has continued to show up and show out. Maybe you got to thank Greg Zerloin week 4 at MetLife for a dub there. But other than that, I mean, they handled Vegas, New Orleans, and Carolina with ease. And of course, those are 3 bottom tier teams. But what else are you going to ask them to do? The schedule's a schedule. So we're going to see Denver probably middle out with Baltimore and Kansas City back-to-back road games. But I like the back of defense here in a number. Broncos plus 8.5. I'm going to take in what I'm calling a high school hierarchy, upperclassmen, underclassmen, college campus, upperclassmen, underclassmen, hierarchy, pick a campus, any campus type game. And it's an NFC North campus, and it's a Detroit Lions cafeteria. And I'll be damned. And I know I'm on the public side. I will absolutely lead with that. I'll be damned if I back under a field goal, which is the number now. Packers plus 2.5 with Jordan Love not even a month removed from an MCL proper and now a groin in a league-leading Jordan Love 9 interception category, when I know what I have when I'm staring at Danny Campbell, 2 cups of coffees, Detroit Lions on both sides of the football. This Detroit Lions team, really hear this, has scored over 170 points in the last 4 weeks of work. They have beaten the brakes off of teams. They just posted an over 50 burger on Tennessee's Good Burger Noggin. They just posted over 40 in 3 of the last 4 weeks against Seattle and Cowboys football proper. They simply can't be stopped. They can only be hoped to be contained. And we need to remind ourselves a couple of things here, because you could argue Green Bay side without question. LaFleur is a dog. LaFleur at home. LaFleur in a spot where you could make a case from a betting perspective you're getting value. Home divisional dog. I'm fading a historically profitable spot. So it's okay if you want to fade me. I'm clearly going emotional here. But a couple of things I'm going to point out as a salesman pitching you minus 2.5. And you don't even need to walk off the lot with the car. The things that the Packers do, the Lions do better. Not to get Lions witch in the wardrobe up in this NFC North, but if we're getting you tater tots, Napoleon Dynamite style, or Gatorade at the cafeteria with our Lions Bucks, Jordan Love's getting Jared Goff the tots, not the other way around. Because JG16's having a significantly more buttoned up QBR touchdown to interception year than Jordan Love. And it reflects in the turnover differential. Green Bay gets away with a game here, a cover there, because their defense is meeting and exceeding turnover expectations. I mean, this defense is tops in the league at getting the ball in their hands. But when you balance out what these Detroit Lions do just as well, but better, at only second to the Bills plus 10 in the turnover differential department, you have to look at this tit for tat. If we're going UFC boxing match, breaking down height, weight, wingspan, etc., stylistically speaking, ding, ding, that's a check for Detroit. Then let's play this game. Whether you like it, some do, some don't. Okay, the other big dog in the division, still got to give them their flowers, is the Minnesota Vikings. How did these two teams fare against them? Well, Green Bay was up to, and I got it, plus 16.5 live. All right? And they came back, lost by 2, but were playing catch up since the mustard halftime. How you doing? I mean, they were getting smoked in that game, and you can make a case a lot of those points were garbage time. On the Lions-Vikings side of things, the Lions did start out lackluster, but they absolutely cooked. They scorched, and they cashed for us on the Moneyline Monaco podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. And they're up by halftime. Live betting value there, and a cash for us on the pregame flop. So they look better against a familiar foe. Lions winning by half, Packers down 28-7 by half against the same opponent. You also have to remind yourself this. Packers are unbelievable at running the football. This is a top 5. I know they have, obviously, Hutch off the front line, but still a top 5 statistical rush D. You have to also remind yourself this. The Lions won this game in Lambeau. So, okay, Jared Goff narrative outside a dome, outside of a cozy homeschooled scenario in a dome or at home. Is he a different lad? Yes. But has he won at this place before? Yes. So I just don't want to get got with a hurt love groin and a team that doesn't do a little bit here and a little bit there better than the other opponent in a less than field goal betting number. I will take the senior on campus over the sophomore. Maybe they're a junior now. Green Bay's working their way. They certainly are in the division. The junior to the sophomore, that is, I guess, the Vikings. And the freshman would be the Bears, but I like the Bears overall as a roster more than the Vikings. I said it long term. Let's keep moving. I don't have the stomach to talk about this game longer than a couple of minutes, but I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm taking a Dallas Cowboys +3 team that has won 3 and all of their 3 games on the road this season. It's hard to even Ferris wheel Jerry's world believe it. It's hard to comprehend it. This is a team that can't run the ball, that can't stop the run. It is not a team you want to hang your hat on many a times. But if we're sitting here looking at a buy low, sell high spot, a Dallas team that has dropped multiple games, plural, straight, and really just stole one on a 4th and goal, which we lost and I'm sick about still in Pittsburgh. They have not looked good in a couple of weeks on the win-loss column side, but did take a 10-6 lead at half against San Francisco. We did back a Dallas number, and we're going back at them for more punishment last week, now this week. But you got to really say to yourself this. A Atlanta Falcons team that outside of punching down on their little brothers in the NFC South, which, again, you caught a huge timing purchase here if you back them over Tampa losing both Godwin and Evans. I mean, come on. Take Bijan and Drake London away from the cul-de-sac father of 3 Kirknon primetime cousins. Not going to end well for a post-Achilles lad in his late 30s. I digress. The reality is Cousins is beat up on the NFC South and he's looked lackluster elsewhere. And if Parsons goes, great. If he doesn't, I'll still back a number. Because here's the thing. This Dallas Cowboys team with Philly looming in a week has a chance to get back in all conversations. NFC East conversations. And this is an interesting week where you got Dougie P, and it's my next pick, going with a team with absolutely no Seinfeld conceivable reason for getting up in the morning. Jacksonville to Philly next week, knowing both of these boys top of the division from last year. Eagles and Cowboys dance next week. It's a look-ahead spot, but this is a Dallas look-ahead spot in a different way than Philly, because we have a Cowboys team that hasn't dropped 3 straight all year, going against a Falcons team a little bit banged up that, again, has not proven dominance whatsoever in spots outside of the division. We're talking about one Kirk drive against a soft Philly Fangio D in the early goings of September on Monday night away from a team that hasn't caught anything outside of the division, But we're talking about a Dallas Cowboys team that has made a couple of distinct decisions. All right. They're going to run minimal, and they're going to just throw the ball till the wheels fall off. This is a good but not great Falcons pass D, and a good but not great Falcons overall D, statistically speaking. Can Dak win the turnover battle for freaking once this year? If he can, we have a shot to win outright with plus money. But the confidence to back the Atlanta Falcons, who, again, if Dallas can get to him, Kirk, we got a shot here, and jumping on him and actually looking good from a Dallas perspective. But Dallas, so you look at Atlanta, who's neutral in the turnover category, whereas Dallas is -8 and not ideal. But the positive is, which again is what Dallas does best, really, which is all they do. I mean, Atlanta's, again, very mid when it comes to pass D as far as statistical numbers. And even their rush D isn't superb either, which has resulted in a non-top 10 defense that gives up around 24. Just Dallas, again, it's a sell high, buy low spot, and we're back in the buy low spot with a 3-point number. So if we lose by a field goal, we still we still push on this place. So we'll go Cowboys +3, little bit of a timing purchase. Little bit of, I just think the Falcons are a little fugazi, and I do believe that the Cowboys aren't as bad as we all think. Let's do what we got to do. And, oh, by the way, the theme of that one was just when I was out, when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. This one we call the gambling gut, and we'll be brief on this one, as it's a gross game. But we got to remind Philly, Lincoln Financial tailgaters, who was responsible for the statue outside of Philly, Sir Nick Foles. Dougie P, coaching on the other sideline. In this one, you got to love it. Dougie Peterson and the Jaguars getting 7.5. This game's going to be half drunk by the first quarter. And give me a Jaguars team that's 3-1 in their last 4 games as a dog covering. And give me a reminder to you that the underdogs have covered in Philly games, 10 of the last 12 games. They're just 2-3 as a favorite this year covering, and they are just as piss poor in the turnover differential department as Jacksonville at a -4 right next to them. Do we dare call them locker buddies on the opposite side of the turnover differential situation? Remind yourself, Jaguars don't do much great on the defensive side, but they are the 9th best run defense. Philly's a very, needing to run to set up the pass. Jalen's his best self when they do that type team. Well, another element in this situation, with a number we're getting that's more than a touchdown, which has been kind to the better all season, mind you. And the same spot as the Broncos, Ravens, as far as betting overall trends, bringing that back, more than a touchdown, less than double digits, a 3-12-1 against the spread spot for, if you were to take in this place, hypothetically, the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Philadelphia Eagles have not scored a basket. They are trolling at the beer pong table 9 straight games. They have not scored in 9 straight games in the first quarter. So as bad as Jacksonville looked in London, plural, in the first quarter, in the first half, maybe there's actually an opportunity for Jacksonville to come in for once to class. Spicoli, a.k.a. Trevor Lawrence, buttoned up. But to me, again, this is just a team, Jacksonville, 2-2 straight up in the last 4 weeks. They're not a good football team, but they did just cover and lose to a very good Green Bay team. If you think, again, I like saying it and thinking it, especially in betting, football psychology game that leans Jags due to Dougie Peterson. I think Doug Peterson's Super Bowl and a no Costanza reason for getting up in the morning spot is this Philly matchup at Philly. Gets a chance to go spoil a team that, again, did they treat him that well on the way out? Thanks for what? Come on. Give me a number and give me a game where both teams are it's just going to be gross. You can bet this and spare yourself watching it and just cash the ticket. And we wrap with, I got to take my girlfriend out on a date bet. I got to cash something. I need you to absolutely feel great about something. And I'm going to go with the Chargers-Browns under a 42.5. And I've seen enough splits and I've watched enough Chargers football. And we can all hope that maybe Winston's got the Rambus goggles on. Maybe he doesn't. Hey, either way, unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependence on the under. Give me Scuba Steve under 42.5 for the Chargers' number one defense at 13 points a game. Harbaugh, Big Ten, khakis sold separately, type D, type dog. No one has broken 21 points on this team. Nobody has broken 3 touchdowns on the board against the LA former San Diego Chargers. On top of that, points and wins they've given up on defense. For Chargers, 10-3, 16-8. Low, and lower. Ed and Eddie. How about Chargers losing efforts on offense? 10, 10, and 15. 3 of the last 5 Browns games have landed on totals in the 30s. I know you're going off last week. Baltimore's the worst pass D in the league. This is a unbelievable Chargers defense. If they do one thing well, they play good Michigan Big Ten defense. It's just so situationally evident. And Herbert on the road is the best under backing in the game. He's 9-2 to the under going back on 2 seasons of football. All they do is don't score. All they do is don't give up points. And I know it's a wild card Winston, but, expect him to make this game also a little tipsy. I will take under 42.5 in a game that I believe the public is going to think goes over, in a game that's had a ton of line movement against the spread, and I'll just miss ourselves on that. Of course, I'll be rooting for the Chargers. Probably suckered into betting the Chargers. If you do want to know a side in this for me and where I'm thinking, I'm leaning Chargers, but the betting line movement and the money coming in reflects sharp sides on Cleveland. I mean, it's just a completely rejuvenated locker room. I mean, Jameis is an unbelievable Gerald Butler leader at 300 a minute. It is what it is, baby. So in conclusion, we'll take Chargers Browns under 42.5, Cowboys +3, Lions -2.5, Broncos +8.5, and the gambling gut Jacksonville Jaguars +7.5. How do you do? We've been talking all day, so we will be signing off. Appreciate you. Again, if you could rate it, subscribe it, shout us out, throw us a subscribe anywhere, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, really does go a long way. And let me know you did it, and I will shout you out on the gram. All right, don't forget to hug your mothers. Ta-ta, real smooth. Let's hope this is 4-1. Feels like.